Jessica Reedy, The Quiet Battles, Behind the Gospel Voice, Faith, and Fire. Many people consider Jessica Reedy to be a powerful gospel singer, a woman whose voice simultaneously conveys suffering, hope, conviction, and praise. She is seen by her devotees as a musical minister. She represents honesty to the gospel community. Beneath the power of her songs, however, lies a lengthy journey filled with hardship, inner turmoil, miscommunications, and personal struggles that molded not only her music but also her faith. She did not achieve success suddenly. It is a slow-burning story that rarely makes headlines, but has a significant impact on her artistic output. It is full of waiting seasons, periods of doubt, quiet successes, and spiritual wrestling. One thing becomes evident when we consider Jessica Reedy's life and journey. Strength does not always equate to standing up without difficulty. Sometimes, even when the burden seems intolerable, strength persists, quietly, dutifully, imperfectly. Jessica's tale serves as a reminder that every strong voice has a human heart, and every worship song has a life molded by both fire and faith. Her willingness to be genuine in situations where many feel compelled to act fake is what makes her journey so profoundly relatable, in addition to her vocal prowess. Jessica Reedy serves as a reminder that faith does not eliminate suffering. Rather, it teaches us how to deal with it in a society that frequently expects perfection from those in leadership roles. Her hardships strengthen rather than diminish her testimony. Her quiet times are a reflection rather than an indication of absence. Her perseverance, which has been molded by emotional exhaustion, health issues, and misinterpreted seasons, demonstrates a kind of bravery that is rarely honored but is sorely needed. Reaching listeners has always been the goal of Jessica's music, not impressing them. And maybe that's because, rather than just singing about it, she knows what it is to be in need of grace. Her story appeals to many who struggle despite loving God, to those who heal and serve, to those who wait and worship. Through her path, we witness the beauty of becoming, honestly but not quickly or effortlessly. We saw a woman who discovered that redefining success can occasionally be the most faithful act of all, and that slowing down does not equate to giving up. One thing is certain as her story develops. Jessica Reedy's voice will always convey more than just sound. It has the ability to survive. It carries the truth. It conveys the subdued conviction that belief and brokenness may coexist. And her legacy endures there, where faith and humanity collide. Early life, a stressful calling. Jessica Reedy was born and reared in a religious household where she was surrounded by religion, worship, and the expectations that come with having a spiritual gift. Her voice was distinctive from a young age. She was expected to sing, so it wasn't just something. She did. Church services, choirs, rehearsals, and performances became the norm. However, skill is frequently accompanied by pressure. Jessica experienced the burden of being the one with the gift as a young lady. She was frequently requested to pour forth while others may sit and receive. Although that early experience strengthened people, it also sowed the seeds of emotional exhaustion. For her, worship was incredibly genuine, yet occasionally burdensome with obligations. Nevertheless, she persisted, because she thought her voice had a larger purpose. Breaking through, sudden visibility, and Sunday best. With Sunday Best, Jessica Reedy became well-known across the country because of her distinctive voice. Her earnestness as well as her vocal prowess struck a chord with the audience. She lived her songs rather than just performing them. Although that platform created opportunities, it also brought up a new type of pressure, public expectations. All appearances were important all of a sudden. Every choice, every interview, and every note was noted. Although the exposure generated opportunities, it also created an unseen prison where sharing personal challenges felt risky and mistakes felt magnified. Jessica came out with a career, but she also quietly realized that freedom isn't always correlated with prominence. Between anointing and exhaustion in ministry life, her responsibilities increased along with her career. Her schedule was packed with ministry obligations, church engagements, tours, and recordings. She became well known for her songs on endurance, healing, and surrender, themes she firmly believed in. But fatigue seeped in behind the scenes. There were times when it felt overwhelming to sing about peace while secretly battling anxiety. There were times when being supportive of others made it difficult for her to be open about her own difficulties. Jessica discovered, like many others in the ministry, how simple it is to serve while breaking in silence. One of the key challenges of her path was this internal conflict. Physical difficulties and health issues. Jessica had to slow down at different times due to health issues. These experiences had an impact on her physically, emotionally, and spiritually, albeit they were never always discussed in public. Stress, exhaustion, and the psychological effects of continual giving started to show. Slowing down felt strange, even scary, to a lady whose identity was strongly associated with singing and serving. However, these times turned into essential pauses that forced her to reconsider boundaries, self-care, and the distinction between being called and being eaten. Misunderstanding and controversy. Jessica Reedy, like many well-known gospel musicians, has miscommunication moments. Words that are out of context. Distance is perceived as silence. Spiritual deterioration is confused for personal advancement. Being honest might be dangerous in a field where perfection is expected. Sometimes others criticized her for choosing authenticity because she refused to practice religion without truth, not because she lacked faith. Jessica frequently opted for private contemplation over public defense in order to preserve her tranquility, even at the expense of her popularity. Individual misfortunes and quiet sorrow loss was a part of life. It wasn't necessarily dramatic or public, but it was very personal. Press releases were not accompanied with grief. Disappointments that caused her expectations to change. Relationships that were altered. Dreams that changed throughout time. Her songs reflected these experiences as maturity rather than resentment. Her later pieces have a softer strength and a heavier weight. It was more about living with faith than it was about demonstrating it. Development, recovery, and redefining. Jessica Reedy's journey eventually shifted from being seen to being entire. Healing was a gradual process that required introspection, faith, relaxation, and deliberate quiet. She discovered that sometimes being obedient means taking a step back. It is possible for worship to be silent. Sometimes that trust is a whisper rather than a shout. She developed as an artist. Her voice was more confident and less urgent, more presence, less performance. Progress's legacy awards and rankings are not the only things that characterize Jessica Reedy's legacy. It resides in the people who used her songs as a means of expressing their suffering. When she sang about endurance, people felt seen, among listeners who came to see that they might have a profound love for God and still be human. Her tale is still being told. It's honest but not flawless or polished. Resilience, faith, and quiet strength characterize Jessica Reedy's story, which was influenced not only by music, but also by times of intense hardship, introspection, and spiritual development. Jessica Reedy, who is well known for her soul-stirring gospel melodies and strong voice, has never been simply another vocalist in the gospel music industry. Her life has always been a mixture of skill and hardship, recognition and suffering, public achievement and personal struggles. It took time and money for her to become well-known. Rather, it developed as a result of years of tenacity, introspection, and an unwavering conviction that her purpose went beyond celebrity. Jessica was born with a natural talent for music, and her early affinity for singing stemmed from the church, where her voice initially found purpose and guidance. Gospel music evolved from a passion to a means of expression and a means of conveying feelings that words could not. Beneath the worshipful lyrics and cheerful songs, however, was a young woman navigating the demands, expectations, and inner conflicts of life. While audiences praised Jessica's singing prowess, she was dealing with internal issues that undermined her sense of self and value. Her breakthrough moment occurred when she entered the national spotlight through gospel music competitions, when audiences were emotionally moved by her sensitivity and her evident talent. Fans were drawn to her genuineness as well as her voice. She made no effort to project a flawless appearance. Rather, she seemed authentic, someone who recognized suffering, uncertainty, and the protracted process of recovery. Being honest turned out to be one of her best qualities, making her stand out in a field that frequently prioritizes appearance over content. But success had its own set of difficulties. The strain to live up to expectations, keep up appearances, and bear the weight of public scrutiny increased as her career developed. Jessica's journey was not without controversy and miscommunication, and occasionally her personal hardships were discussed in public. Instead of letting these experiences define who she was, she made the decision to face them head-on and turn them into teaching moments rather than liabilities. Later on, this choice would influence her music, making it more honest, expressive, and grounded in reality. Jessica Reedy's faith has been a major influence throughout her life. It has been challenged, confirmed, and never given up. Her experience serves as a reminder that faith does not end hardship. Rather, it gives one the fortitude to persevere through it. Emotional struggles, disappointment, and loss turned into chapters rather than the end of her journey. She kept singing through it all, not as a way to get away, but rather as a testament, an offering, and a reminder that healing is a journey. The beginnings, ascent, hardships, controversies, and tragedies that molded Jessica Reedy's personality are all thoroughly examined in this article. It is more than just a biography. It is a meditation on tenacity, faith, and the bravery required to maintain integrity in a society that frequently demands perfection. Her narrative is about more than simply music. It's about purpose, survival, and finding light even during the darkest times of the year.